Hello, everyone. Welcome to Advantage Receiver. We are now at the second major of the year. That's right. We are now at the French Open. Now, I know this video came out after the play has already started, but we're going to go over the draw, see who I have projected to go to the quarters and win this whole thing, and we're going to talk about what happened today. We're actually going to get into that right now. So, day one started with a lot of good matches to open up. We'll get into the upsets here a little in a bit, but I'll go over some of the winners that we saw today. Of course, one of the big favorites is Carlos Alcaraz. Alcaraz probably a strong favorite, maybe complementary to Djokovic, but he looked great today. Won in straight sets. I mean, this kid has been on a tear this year, really playing well right now. Didn't see any hiccups in his game today, and looks to be going strong going forward. Also, Alexander Zverev won in straight sets. Someone that I had going pretty third round, Davidovich Fokina lost today in 4 sets. A little tough after he had the pretty good run in Monte Carlo, making the final. American Jenson Brooksby actually lost in 3 sets, a straight set loss. I actually had him winning that match he played today. Kind of shocking to see because he was been playing pretty good this last couple of tournaments, but you know that happens on the clay, I guess. So Jenson Brooksby upset in 3 sets. Our Felix Auger-Aliassime avoided an upset. Felix was down 2-0. He actually came back and won it in 5. I believe that's his first win at the French Open. So good on him to bounce back after being down 2 sets and winning that match in 5. Coric, huge fan of Borna Coric. I have been a huge fan of Borna for a long time. Really just disappointing to see his struggles with injuries off the court, but glad to see him back playing Grand Slam tennis where he belongs. Won a nice 4-set match today. Good on him. Good job, Borna. Really happy to see you back on court where you belong. And the last man I want to talk about today before we get to the women, then we'll get into my draw, is Dominic Thiem. Now, Dominic Thiem, we all know how good he was winning the Grand Slam in New York over Zverev, winning all those Masters 1000 titles, making finals in Paris again, having those matches against Nadal. Seemed like he was going to be one of those guys that was the next generation after the big 3. And I had him winning. I gave him 1 match in my bracket. I gave him 1. And it just wasn't meant to be today. Thiem lost in straight sets. He's now lost 11 straight matches. I don't know what Thiem has to work on, but it's clearly not working for him right now, sadly. It's definitely disappointing to see a player that has such skill as Dominic Thiem had and still has. It's just he can't find the pieces right now to construct a win. So he's going to have to retool things. He said he's going to a couple of challenger events before Wimbledon, so we'll see if he can retool his game, but it's just disappointing and sad to see a player of his caliber just continue to struggle. And I think he'll get it back eventually, but it's just taking a lot longer than I think he thought it would take, and I think everyone else thinks it's taken a lot longer than we thought it would for him to get back to the playing level he's used to seeing, or he's used to seeing from him. And then we go to the women's game. Leylah Fernandez won in straight sets, U.S. Open finalist from a couple years ago. Good on her for that win. Coco Gauff, impressive first round win. A close first set and a 6-love bagel. Second set, real good job from Coco Gauff to get her first round win. Sakkari wins opening round. I have Sakkari actually, well, we'll get to that, but I have Sakkari going pretty far in my French Open bracket, but good on her for a win. And then Kanepi upsets Muguruza. Now, I actually had that picked. I picked in my bracket Kanepi would upset Muguruza. Not entirely shocking. Kanepi seems to do this a lot. She'll play a lot of these Grand Slam matches against big top 10 players and has a winning record, or almost up to 500 against big time top 10 players in Grand Slam. So her beating Muguruza wasn't really a surprise because Muguruza has kind of struggled here and there this year. Not exactly the greatest record for herself. So Kanepi beating her in the opening round, not exactly that big of a shock. But the upset of the tournament thus far, Ons Jabeur is out. Ons Jabeur lost in her opening round in 3 sets. And it's very surprising because I can't really wrap my head around this one because she made the final the last 2 tournaments. She won Madrid over Pegula, and then she made the final against Swiatek in Rome, right? She played Rome? I have to double check that. I'm pretty sure. She played Rome. So I had this set up. So she made the last 2 finals, and lost to Swiatek. Like, who hasn't lost to Swiatek recently? Yeah, I was right. Okay, yeah, she won Madrid. I know what I'm talking about here. Yeah, she won Madrid over Pegula in 3 sets, and then lost to Swiatek again, who hasn't, in Rome. So the last 2 tournaments she's played really, really well on the clay. Made the finals in both of them. Then today, opening round French Open, she goes out early. It's why you play the game. It's just very baffling that she's out in round 1. So, but that's upsets are bound to happen. So now let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video. It's going to be the bracket breakdown, who I have going to the quarters, semis, and who I have winning the whole thing on the men's and women's. Let's get started with the women's, actually. So women's, has there ever been, in recent memory, an overwhelming favorite on the women's side than Iga Swiatek? Iga Swiatek has won 5 straight tournaments, 28-match winning streak. She has been on a tear, and a needed one after the retirement of Ash Barty. Now that Iga Swiatek is number 1 player in the world, definitively the number 1 player in the world, she goes into the French Open, I think, with a little bit of pressure on her because she's won these tournaments. Now she's expected to win. So we'll see if the draw favors her, see how it goes. But she's got a pretty favorable draw. She could potentially meet Halep in the round of 16. That could be a tough test for her. Halep's won the French Open before. That's going to be a little tough test for Swiatek. Then, as far as my quarterfinals, I have Swiatek and Pegula. I like the way Pegula's been playing recently this year, and I think Pegula has a chance to maybe do some damage here. We'll see what happens. She might have to potentially play Pliskova, but we'll see how she can do in this tournament. I like Badosa. I think Badosa's playing really. I know she had a hiccup recently in a tournament, but I think she's going to be playing pretty well on the clay. And then Danielle Collins is playing really, really well right now. I can't ignore how good she's been playing, so I like her in the quarters on the top half. And then in the bottom half, I had on Jabeur in my quarters. That didn't happen. I had Jabeur potentially playing Raducanu. We'll see how Emma Raducanu plays. I had Sakkari in the quarters. She's still alive. I have Sakkari actually in my final. Sakkari's in my final. And then on the quarter, I have Kontaveit and Krejcikova, who won the French Open a couple years ago. So I think Krejcikova won last year. So I like those chances. And then my final is Swiatek and Sakkari. I can't see any reason not to pick Swiatek. Swiatek's been playing incredibly well. I don't see any reason not to pick her to win this thing. If she does lose, it'd be a pretty surprising defeat. That Halep match could be tricky for Swiatek. That could be a tricky match for her to play. We'll see what happens with Swiatek if she can get past that Halep match. If she can get past that pretty comfortably, I would say she looks like she could win this thing for a second time. Now we go to the men's side. Boy, oh boy, they really screwed this one up. The top half is heavily loaded, and Djokovic and Nadal would meet each other in the quarterfinals, and Alcaraz potentially in the semis, depending on who gets there. And then the bottom half is players like Tsitsipas and Medvedev and Sinner and Rublev, players like that. But the fact that they loaded the top half so hot, so one-sided, it just, not a lot of people were happy about it, myself included, because now only one of the big 3 could potentially make the final, either Djokovic or Nadal. And Nadal wouldn't even make the final if he played Alcaraz, if Alcaraz beat him. So one of those guys will not make the final. Whether it's Djokovic, Nadal, Alcaraz, one of them will be out. So it can't be Alcaraz, Nadal. It can't be Alcaraz, Djokovic. One of them will not make it. So only one of them will get there. So it's either Nadal, Djokovic, or Alcaraz, and whoever they play, I would say they're a pretty heavy favorite going into that final. Either Nadal, Djokovic, or Alcaraz, whoever they play on the bottom half, it's a pretty safe bet they're probably going to win. Whoever for that top half, it's probably your winner. So in my quarterfinals, I have Nadal and Djokovic. I don't see any reason not to pick that. I have Nadal playing Felix, which could be very interesting because Uncle Tony does coach Felix now. So it'd be kind of interesting to see how he coaches Nadal against Nadal at the French Open. I have Zverev and Alcaraz. Again, Alcaraz, I don't see any reason not to keep going with Alcaraz right now. I haven't seen anything to sway me that way. And Zverev, he's playing pretty well. He made a final clay court season, lost to Alcaraz in Madrid. But I like the way he's been playing on the clay this year. I think Alcaraz can get there, and I like Zverev too to get there on the courts in the top half. Then the bottom half, I have Hurkacz. I do like Hurkacz. I know I picked him to get kind of far, I believe, in Miami, and he kind of let me down. But I still like his game. I think Hurkacz can really do some damage there. And then I like Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas is actually in my final. I think Tsitsipas has been playing really well on the clay, other than his loss to Djokovic in Rome. I think he's been playing fantastic. Won in Monte Carlo. He's been playing really well on the clay. Made the French Open against Djokovic last year. I think he's poised to do some really good things here in Paris. And then I have Sinner and Medvedev. I like the way Sinner's been playing. I picked Sinner a lot of times this year to get to a final, and I'm not backing off that. I think Sinner plays really, really well on the clay, and we'll see if he can make it there. Actually, I have him in my semifinals. I have him upsetting Medvedev in the quarters. I like Medvedev to maybe get through. The couple matches he can have problems with Kecmanovic. If Kecmanovic is playing well, I could upset Medvedev. He did lose to Gasquet recently in Geneva, so that could be tough for Medvedev to play on the clay. Clay's not his most favorite surface. We'll see what happens with Medvedev going forward, but I do like Sinner in the semifinals against Tsitsipas, and I have Tsitsipas winning over that. So my final is Alcaraz and Sinner. Alcaraz and Tsitsipas in my final, and I have Alcaraz winning it in 4 sets. Let me preface, I also have Swiatek beating Sakkari in straight sets. I wanted to go back and say that. But I have Alcaraz winning the final against Tsitsipas in 4 sets. Now, if it was Alcaraz versus Nadal Djokovic, I might be swayed, but it's going to be one of them. So my guess would be Alcaraz, if this is how I was projecting it, if Alcaraz plays Zverev, I think Alcaraz wins, maybe in 4 sets, maybe in straight sets, depending on how he's playing, because Zverev has hiccups with his serve. We saw that in Madrid. I have a feeling with Nadal and Djokovic, that could be a huge battle, a 4 or 5 set epic like these two have, and then whatever is left from either player, whether Nadal wins like I have or Djokovic wins, I think Alcaraz is just be there to pick up the pieces and finish them off. That's why I think Alcaraz goes to the final, because I think Nadal and Djokovic have a big battle, and then Alcaraz will just finish them off in the semifinals. And then, so I like Alcaraz and Swiatek. I'm not backing off that. I think they've been playing the best tennis of anybody this year. Nadal's got issues with his foot. However, Djokovic looked very, very good in Rome. Pretty much peak Djokovic we saw in Rome against Tsitsipas in the final. So we'll see if Djokovic's level has come back to where it used to be in Paris. And then before I adjourn from this video, I circled some matches on my bracket that I really want to pay attention to. I don't think they've happened yet, so let's go into them. The one match I have circled on the men's side on the top half is Sebastian Korda and John Millman. Korda beat Alcaraz earlier this year on a clay court tournament. So we'll see. That was in Monte Carlo. Yeah, it was Monte Carlo. Korda beat Alcaraz. So we'll see how that. And Millman's always been playing really well. He beat Federer in the U.S. Open way back a couple of years ago. So we'll see how that goes. That seems like a good test for Korda in the first round. And then of course, people are talking about this potential upset for Tsitsipas. Lorenzo Musetti against Tsitsipas. Musetti, the Italian, plays really well on the clay. That's a tough test, Tsitsipas, for the first round for him. I think Tsitsipas will get through, but that's a match to look out for. And of course, the match I think everyone's eyeballs are on for the opening round is Shapovalov and Holger Rune. Holger Rune won a title this year. Of course, the guy retired in the final, but Holger Rune still has that win. And then Shapovalov played really well, beat Nadal in Rome, so that robbed us of a Djokovic-Nadal matchup in Rome. But Holger Rune potentially has an upset here. I picked Holger Rune actually to upset Shapovalov in this one, so we'll see what happens. But that should be a really, really exciting first-round match, the tournament for Holger Rune and Shapovalov to go in the first round. And then my women's, I circled Sabalenka. The reason I circled Sabalenka is because her serve is still a problem, so we'll see if she can adjust the serve during this tournament. That's why I have Sabalenka circled in my bracket, is because we'll see if her serve lets her down or if it's not a problem. If she can, abuse them on the forehand side of the ball, on the backhand side of the ball with her ground strokes. If the serve is not a big deal, maybe she can get past it. But if you play someone that really can give her problems, like I have Sabalenka losing to Danielle Collins at the round of 16, I think Collins can really, if Sabalenka's serve is not on, Collins will take advantage of that. So that's why I'm trying to pay attention to Sabalenka and my women's side. And then the match I've circled, I'll go to another one in a second, but the one I have circled on the bottom half is the first round that is like, it took me a couple minutes to pick who I wanted to win and who I think was going to win, is Amanda Anisimova versus Naomi Osaka first round. So someone has to lose. It's a tough first round match for both of them. I like Osaka to win that one, but that's going to be really tough. I can see either of them winning that match. Anisimova playing really well. Osaka's trying to make her way back up the rankings. We'll see what happens. I mean, that's just a tough first round for either player. Anisimova was ranked seeded 27th here. Osaka's not ranked right now, seeded at this tournament. So it's going to be a tough matchup for either player in the opening round. And then one more person I have circled on here is Mahar Sharif. The reason I have her circled because I became a fan of hers when I attended Indian Wells this year. I didn't go to the actual tournament. Went to the qualifying session. I saw her practicing. Liked what I saw. I think she has a good serve, good return game, good strokes on both sides of the ball. I'm really looking forward to seeing if she can do some damage here in the French Open. I do have her getting to the third round. Hopefully, if she can get some confidence maybe going forward, that'd be good for her. I do have her losing to Pegula, but I wish all the best for Mahar Sharif at this tournament. Hope she does well in the rest of the season. And then one last thing before I adjourn for this video is the Wimbledon situation. The players will not accrue ranking points at the championships this year. So it seems like if you're having points to defend or trying to earn points, it's not going to matter. So I'm not sure what the process for Wimbledon is going to be this year as far as that. I'll look more into this going forward. It's just a thing that just came out recently. So we'll see what happens with this thing. But Wimbledon's not looking good right now as far as that. No Russians or Belarusian players are allowed. Now ranking points aren't accrued. It's definitely an interesting time for Wimbledon this year, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward towards the championships in the summer. That's it for this video today for the French Open. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm looking forward to more stuff for this tournament. It's the second Grand Slam of the year. The time difference is still kind of rough for me being out here in the West Coast, but I will do my best to cover it and do everything I can. Also, starting tomorrow, we're going to do, as much as I can, daily Advantage Receiver podcast. That's right. I'm going to go over the matches of the day. After the matches are over, discuss them, talk them into the audio podcast. That should be a lot of fun. Look for that tomorrow. It's going to be uploaded on the YouTube channel, but it will just be audio only. I'll do the best I can to make these daily uploads. And that is going to do it for today. If you like this video, give it a like. I really appreciate it. I'm having fun doing this thing. It's getting a lot of attention on Twitter, which I'm happy for. People watching these videos, enjoying it. I love the sport of tennis, and to cover it more and more is something I love to do. That is going to do it for Advantage Receiver, broadcasting tennis from the West Coast to every coast.